Welcome to the Appliance Repair Academy. In this lesson, you will replace the bake element on a Whirlpool electric range model WFE505W0HS. The replacement part number is W11182108. The bake element is the lower heating element inside the oven cavity. When the bake function fails, but the broil and surface burners still work, the bake element is almost always the cause. Every make and model varies, so use this as your training guide and always verify against the manufacturer tech sheet for the unit on your bench.
Safety first. This range runs on 240 volts. Unplug the appliance from the wall outlet. If the range is hardwired, lock out and tag out the dedicated breaker at the panel per OSHA 29 CFR 1910.147. Confirm zero voltage with a multimeter before touching internal components. The oven cavity will be hot after use, so let it cool to room temperature before opening the door. Tools you will need are a 1/4-inch nut driver, a Phillips screwdriver, a digital multimeter, work gloves, and safety glasses. No water is used in this repair.
Let us look at the common symptoms of a failed bake element. First, the bake cycle no longer heats, but the broil element above still glows when you run broil. Second, you may see visible damage on the bake element itself, like a burned-out spot, a blister, or sagging metal. Third, the oven may throw a fault code related to the lower element, or the control may simply not reach the set temperature. If broil works but bake does not, the bake element is the prime suspect. Always confirm with a resistance test before you replace the part.
Before you do any work, allow the oven to cool completely. The bake element reaches over 500 degrees Fahrenheit during a cycle, and the cavity walls hold heat for a long time afterward. Open the oven door for 15 to 30 minutes to vent the cavity. Touch the door glass with the back of your hand to confirm it is at room temperature. Working on a hot oven causes burns and damages new components. Patience here keeps you safe and protects the new bake element you are about to install.
Now pull the range away from the wall so you can reach the power cord and work safely. Open the oven door and use it as a handle or grip the front edges of the cooktop. Walk the range out about 2 feet, one corner at a time, watching for the power cord behind. If the floor is tile or vinyl, slide a piece of cardboard or a furniture mover under each foot to protect the floor. Do not pull on the cord and do not pull the range while it is still plugged in.
With the range pulled out, disconnect power. Reach behind and unplug the heavy 240-volt cord from the wall outlet. If the range is hardwired, return to the service panel and switch off the dedicated double-pull breaker. Apply a lockout device and a personal danger tag so no one can re-energize the circuit while you are working. This is required by OSHA 29 CFR 1910.147. Confirm zero voltage at the terminal block with a multimeter set to AC volts before continuing.
Return to the front of the range and open the oven door fully. The door stays open during the entire repair, so make sure your work area is clear and well lit. A drop light or headlamp helps you see the back wall of the cavity clearly. If your range has a removable oven door, leave it on for this repair, since the bake element comes out through the front of the cavity with the door open. The door also gives you a flat surface to set hardware on as you work.
Remove the oven racks. Slide each rack forward until the bend in the side rail meets the stop. Lift the front of the rack up at a slight angle and pull it the rest of the way out. Set the racks aside on a soft surface like a folded towel so they do not scratch your floor or your cooktop. With the racks out, you have full access to the bake element at the bottom of the cavity. Take a moment now to vacuum or wipe out any debris in the cavity floor so it does not fall into the rear wall opening later.
Locate the bake element. With the door open and the racks out, look at the bottom of the oven cavity. The bake element is the M-shaped or rectangular loop of heavy-gauge tubular metal that sits along the cavity floor, just above it. Both ends of the element pass through two small holes in the rear wall of the cavity, where the wire terminals attach behind. You will see two mounting screws, one at each rear corner of the element, holding it to the back wall. This is the part you are replacing today.
Now remove the two mounting screws. They are 1/4-inch hex head screws, one at each rear corner of the bake element, threaded into the back wall of the oven cavity. Use a 1/4-inch nut driver to back them out. Hold the front of the element with one hand so it does not drop when the screws come free. Place both screws into a small magnetic tray so you do not lose them inside the cavity. If a screw is corroded or stripped, a pair of small locking pliers will grip the head and break it loose.
With the screws out, slide the bake element straight forward about 2 to 3 inches. This pulls the rear terminals through the holes in the back wall and exposes the wire connections behind. Pull gently and evenly so the wires do not slip back into the wall cavity. If the wires drop into the wall, you will have to remove the rear access panel of the range to fish them out, which adds significant time to the repair. Keep one hand on each side of the element and move it slowly.
Disconnect the wire terminals. Each end of the bake element has a flat spade terminal pushed onto a matching female connector from the wire harness. Grip each female connector by the metal crimp, not the wire, and pull it straight off the element terminal. Wiggle it side to side if it is tight. There are only two wires and they are not polarized, so you do not have to mark which goes where. As soon as both connectors are off, keep them in front of the wall opening. Never let them drop back through the holes.
Inspect the failed element on the bench. Look for 3 classic failure signatures. First, a burn-through, where the tubular metal has split open, often with a black scorch mark and arc damage. Second, a blister or bulge, where the element overheated but did not yet rupture. Third, a sag or warp in the M shape, which means the heating coil inside has lost its support and is close to failure. Any one of these signs confirms the element is bad. Even if it looks visually clean, a resistance test on the bench will confirm the diagnosis.
Bench test the element with a digital multimeter. Set the meter to the lowest ohms range, usually 200 ohms. Touch one probe to each spade terminal of the element. A healthy bake element reads between 20 and 25 ohms. A reading of OL or infinity means the element is open and must be replaced. A reading near 0 means the element is shorted. Also test from one terminal to the outer sheath of the element. That reading should be OL. Any continuity to the sheath means a short to ground and the element is unsafe.
Install the new bake element, part W11182108. Take the new element out of the box and inspect it for shipping damage. Bring it to the open oven door and hold it with the terminals facing the back wall of the cavity. Bring the two wire connectors from the harness forward through the rear wall openings. Push each female spade connector firmly onto a male terminal of the new element until it bottoms out and feels solid. Give each one a small tug to confirm it is fully seated.
Feed the wires and terminals back through the holes in the rear wall as you slide the element rearward. Keep one hand guiding each end so the wires travel cleanly through the openings without pinching. Move the element back in a straight line until the rear mounting tabs sit flush against the back wall of the cavity. The two screw holes in the mounting tabs should line up exactly with the threaded holes in the back wall. If they do not line up, the element is not seated all the way back. Adjust gently until it lines up.
Position the new element flat against the back wall. The element should sit centered left to right, with the M loop pointing forward into the cavity parallel to the cavity floor. Check that no wire is pinched between the mounting tab and the wall. Check that the front of the element is roughly level and not tilted up or down. A correctly positioned element will sit symmetrically between the sidewalls with the same gap on the left and the right. Take your time here. Good alignment makes the screw step easy.
Reinstall the two mounting screws. Hand start each 1/4-inch hex head screw through the mounting tab and into the threaded hole in the back wall.
Get both screws started before you tighten either one all the way. This lets the element float into final alignment as you snug them. Tighten each screw with a 1/4-inch nut driver until it is firm. Do not over-tighten. The screws go into thin sheet metal and the threads will strip if you force them. Finger tight plus about a 1/4 turn is the rule. Reinstall the oven racks. Take each rack, tilt the front up at a slight angle, and guide the side rails into the rack guides on the cavity walls. Lower the front of the rack and slide it all the way back. The rack should sit level and slide in and out smoothly. Most ranges have specific rack positions for baking, broiling, and roasting. If you removed multiple racks, return them to the positions you found them in. The cavity is now fully reassembled internally and ready to be returned to service.
Push the range back into position. Walk it back one corner at a time, watching the power cord so it does not get pinched behind the unit. Confirm the cord routes cleanly out the back to the wall outlet. Plug the cord firmly into the 240-volt outlet. If the range is hardwired, return to the service panel, remove your lockout device and tag, and switch the dedicated breaker back on. The oven display should light up and show the time prompt or the last set state. Power has now been restored. Run a test bake cycle to verify the repair. Set the oven to bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Within about 30 to 60 seconds, the bake element should begin to glow a uniform dull red along its entire length. Open the door briefly and look down at the element. You should see even glow with no dark spots and no cold sections. Close the door and let the oven preheat fully. When the control signal's ready, the repair is verified. Cancel the cycle and let the oven cool before normal use. The repair is complete.
References for this lesson: Whirlpool WFE505W0HS Use and Care Guide and Tech Sheet, available from the manufacturer's product support site. OSHA Standard 29 CFR 1910.147, the control of hazardous energy, lockout and tagout. NFPA 70E, Standard for Electrical Safety in the Workplace. National Electrical Code, Section 210 for branch circuits. Every make and model varies, so always confirm the procedure against the manufacturer documentation for the specific unit you are working on.